All right, one thing before today's episode. I built a private online community called The Secrets of Powerful Women Power Circle, and I want you in it. Live campfire calls each week, monthly guest speakers, and conversations that stay in the circle. Link is in the comments or on my website, powerfulwomenusa.com. Can't wait to see you. This show is sponsored by powerfulwomenusa.com, a place to be inspired by other women. Well, hey, everybody, I'm Jill Conway, and this is Secrets of Powerful Women, a show dedicated to celebrating and supporting strong and successful women and sharing their stories. I'm hoping that you'll be inspired by these conversations to pursue your own dreams, reclaim your voice, and discover your strengths. So my guest today is Dr. Nkem Ezeamama. She has a fantastic story to tell. So Enzam, thank you for being here and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
So am I. So I want to tell everyone you are, as I mentioned, you are an ER doctor, and you are also an entrepreneur and a woman who has built an incredible investment business, and now you're helping women.
Yes.
So talk to me first about being a doctor. I mean, you work in the ER, so right, and you're in Nashville, right?
I am in Nashville. I work in the ER. I work at a really busy ER, and I love it. I've always wanted to be a doctor for as long as I could remember. I've always wanted to be a doctor. It's one of the most fulfilling, the coolest jobs, the coolest professions that one can embark upon. And I'm so grateful that my journey started with that. And I love the ER because you never know what is going to walk through the door. It could be a little baby crying. It could be a pregnant woman. It could be someone dying. And I just get to kind of be thrown into all of that and thrust into that. And I love it. And it has been it's shaped my identity. So who you see today is partly due to medicine, a good, bad, ugly. And I've loved all of it. But I'm grateful to be here. I still work. I don't know. I keep getting the question more and more, like, will I ever stop working in the hospital? And I don't know because it's such an integral part of me. But I've gone down significantly. So I used to work, 20 days a month. And now it really looks like 7, 8, 9 days a month. And so it looks very, very different because I wear other hats that just maybe now equally excite me. But yes, just to be able to impact life in that way is really cool.
Well, take us back there. You said you've always wanted to be, like, what's your first memory of saying, like, I want to be a doctor? And did you get support for that when you were younger?
I feel like the earliest I can maybe remember was 9th grade. I had a teacher who I told that I wanted to be a doctor and who was like, actually, I think you can be a doctor, right? And so that was like that. I think when I go back to like when was the first time, but my parents supported me, right? My parents did not go to school. They were part of the war in Nigeria and they got pulled out in like elementary school. And so, but they wanted their kids, they wanted a future for their kids that looked different from theirs. And so from as small as when I could remember that I wanted to be a doctor, my parents cheered me on. And however they knew how to support me, they supported me. Whether it was encouragement, whether it was trying to help me get to schools, making sure that I got through college, right? They did all of that because again, they truly wanted a better future for me than they ever could have dreamt for themselves. And so I did that. I worked hard. I was probably too hard on myself growing up, but I got straight A's. I went to University of Florida. I did well there. I then subsequently went to George Washington University School of Medicine, excelled there. And it's there that I knew I wanted to work in the ER. And so I trained at a really wonderful program as a resident physician in Charlotte, North Carolina. And after that, I spread my wings and I flew to Nashville. And I've been able to give care to the citizens of Nashville, if you would. And it's been amazing. But the support every step of the way, I have felt very supported. When I was in training, even when I didn't know what I wanted to do, I had support to be like, okay, come follow me, come watch this. When I was in college, right, there was a young doctor who was a fellow, so he was still in training. And I was like, hey, I want to be a doctor. And he's like, come follow me. And so he let me come with him to the operating room whenever he was going, right? Like I felt among. And so every step of the way, right, I felt support. It's never been a can you do it? It's just a of course go do it, right? And it's like what do you need? Even people who didn't know me, like what do you need to excel? What do you need to succeed? And I think I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for some of those really pivotal people who made a difference.
Mm. But I feel like it's your mindset. You seem very determined and dedicated. So what role does all of that play in your life so far?
Oh my goodness, I would say it's everything. The journey was hard. Building Phoenix Capital now was so hard, right?
That's your investment
And that's
firm.
yes,
Yep.
and we
Hmm.
can chat about that. And it was I will tell you, both of them were equally hard. But I think that nothing wonderful, nothing amazing comes easy. And I have learned that it is the consistent small steps every day that you do that get you to the big goal. And sometimes you don't see it like the mundane isn't sexy, but it's the mundane that you need to do, right? When I was in medical school, right, I had a roommate in medical school. We were really great friends, like best of friends. All of my 4 years of medical school had the same roommate, and like I remember us pulling all nighters, right? We would be studying all night for an exam, right? But we needed to do that, right? And now looking back, I'm like, how did we even do that? But you just do it, right? You just say, this is the goal that I'm going for. This is the thing I'm going to chisel. And it's one tiny hammer, every single step, every single day. It's just going at it, right? And so I think I'm grateful for that, right? People describe me as relentless, right? If I put my mind to something, it will get done. And I'm not a quitter, right? And I think a lot of us are like 3 feet from gold, right? We stop because we just give up, right? And I think there would be so much more success stories if we just kept going, right? No, it's not easy. Like we want easy, we expect easy, but when you hear the stories, right, of the people who worked hard, who built, right, you never heard of. They were never overnight successes, right? They were people who put their head down for years and years and years, and we only got to see them, when they blew up. But if you ask them, right, they did that thing every single day, and they did it over and over and over again. So I'm learning. I'm not by any means perfect, right? I have days where I'm like, this sucks. Like, why am I doing this? But but I remember all the people, that the lives that I'm impacting, both in the hospital, outside of the hospital. I think it's really cool when you have a big vision and a big dream, and you go after with everything that you've got. And so I think that also helps me every day to like wake up and be like, okay, we're gonna do this again, to encourage my team. Like people are trusting us with their hard-earned money. Like we have to go at it with everything that we've got, right? So it's also the people that just the people whose stories and whose lives have intertwined with mine, where we've linked arms together. And it's them that sometimes I'm waking up for and doing all of those things. So I'm grateful for some of it is innate, some of it is the mindset that like we can do it, right? If they can do it, so can we. And that's the same like mindset and mentality that I've had.
Mm. Oh, I love it. That's why I started this whole podcast, because I want to show people like you that are doing it and say, and you can do it too, right?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
it can be done. It can be done.
Yes.
Um, I do want to talk about, first of all, it's an incredible story to me that you're an ER doctor and then you built over $150 million real estate asset business. But first, why ER? It's so, I mean, talk about, I would think, stressful and intense. I mean, you're going
It is.
all in every day.
Um you make a decision when you walk into the ER that you are going to do the best you can. We're human, right? And we will make mistakes. But when you have that attitude that like they depend on you, right? So you will show up 100% every single time, right? That's I don't know, that's all you can give. And if you give that right, you're going to do the best that you can. Now, how did I pick ER? I liked everything, and I could not make a decision. So when I went to OB, I liked OB, but I was like, I can't do that all the days of my life. And when I went to the OR, right, to be a surgeon, I liked it, but the hours were just too restrictive for me. When I did primary care, I was like, I can't do this every day, right? Like it was just a little bit too mundane for me. And when I did everything and I just couldn't pick. And when I got to the ER, I found that, right, I didn't have to be an expert at everything, but I was knowledgeable about everything enough that I could take care of a wide array of patients, right, and do a good job and still enjoy it. So the ER is not for everyone. There are some people who will walk into the ER. It is so chaotic sometimes. Everybody's talking. You're interrupted 1,000 times, right? You're still doing this. You're like, wait, I need to take care of that patient, but I also need to do this, and I need to go stitch up that cut, and I need to do this. And oh, there's a sick patient coming in, and like that is truly like what you see on TV. I live that. And but it takes a certain kind of person, not everyone, right? Like there's just it's not for everyone. There's some people who need structure, and they need to see one patient at a time, and they need to just take care of that patient, do that thing. There's some people who are like, I only want to deal with children, right? I just like little people. They don't like when we call them little people, but like they just like that, right? And there's some people that are like, I only want to take care of women, right? I like that. It fits everybody. You find the thing that makes you wake up and excited, right? Like, I work today, and I've been up since 4:30 this morning, and I'm like, I finished work and I'm doing this, and I have 3 meetings with investors, right, this evening, and I'm still doing all this stuff, and I enjoy it, right? And so I had all the craziness in the ER this morning, and I still get to do this afternoon. So you figure out how to make it work. And you do what you love, right? You do what lights you up, what brings out your shine, what brings out you have to do that, right? I always tell whoever I speak to, I've learned COVID was a horrible time to be in the ER. It was awful, right? I saw death after death after death. It was just awful. But it helped me realize that we have this one big, beautiful life to live. That's it, right? We don't get do-overs. We don't be like, we don't know, like, please send me back. I want to do like, it's none of that, right? You get to do it once. And so I have learned that, like, honestly, no regrets, right? So, and when you live like that and you think like that, right? Then the likelihood of you taking chances are just a little bit higher, right? Because you're like, like
Why
if I
not?
ask you, why
Right.
not? Like if I
Right.
ask you something, the worst you're going to do is say no. But what if you say yes, right? And so why won't I take that chance? And I think that the ER helped me see that, and it gave me freedom to go try other things. It gave me freedom to be like, hey, I'm interested in this. This seems like it can work out, right? Let me go see, right? And if it doesn't work, it's okay. I tried
Right.
it. Yay.
Right.
I can go back to the ER, and
Right.
I'll be great. And so that's kind of why. But like back to the ER, I loved the fun. And not every day is fun. I have days where people curse at me, yell at me. I have all of, but I have to realize that, like, I'm meeting them at their worst day. And I'm like, I have to always keep reminding myself that I'm human. And sometimes I'm like, you don't get to ever speak to me like that. But I'm still meeting them at their worst days. And so I have to find the extra kindness every single time. That's how I see it. But more times than not, it's a fun job.
How let me ask you, I mean, how realistic to your day-to-day life is the pit, the show The Pit?
It's very, so it's like, so they, of course it's acting, so they take it
Yes.
to, but it wasn't. So the director of it, he was one of the guys who wrote, like, who did a whole training program that was a significant part of my, like, education, right? So like I watched videos, I listened, and so it's very, very, very real. And we, like, the things that I will say, that maybe 90% of the things that you've seen I have done, and I have been a part of it. So it's, yes, it's, they have to add satire, and they have to exaggerate a little bit, but for the most part, it's very, very real. Yes.
Wow. What's the wildest thing that you've
Oh my
seen in the
goodness.
ER?
I don't know that I can say that out loud. I definitely know I can't say it out loud,
Okay.
but if you think it, just trust me. if you think it, I have probably seen it. So
Really?
I've seen maggots. I've seen like maggots eating up humans. I've seen things stuck in the wrong places. I've seen everything. Like I can't even like and but the I think the most fun for me will always be delivering babies. I think it's like just a cool to like be part of like bringing new life into the world. I think it's a lot of fun. We don't love it because like we you want to be at the right place where you're supposed to deliver, where you have all the resources. But if you have to, I'll gladly do it. But yes, the I can't the I like seriously. If you think it, it has probably happened.
Gosh. Wow. Well, I mean, are you right in the heart of Nashville where all
Yes.
the
So I get to see everything. Like I am that's I so I started it's funny, I started this job like I didn't know where I was going to end up. I got a cool job and I said yes. And I've been at the same place since I finished training and I've loved it and it's grown, it's evolved. We like the sickest of the sickest people I get to see, I get to deal. It's like I don't know, I couldn't ask for
yeah.
anything better.
It seems like it really like it's something that you love. I mean, obviously, it seems to me. Yeah. It really fires you up. Yeah. Well, you've been up. So how, let me ask you this. How do you, and then we'll talk, I want to spend, I think then after the break talking about your incredible business. I mean, that is just incredible in itself. But how do you keep a work-life balance?
Good question. I was on a panel. I was on a women's panel, Globe Street, Women of Influence, on like a founder talking about being a founder. And I said this, right? And I have to, I just, for me personally, right? Balance is a lie. And because I don't have balance in every part of my life, right? And I don't think it's not that I can't do it. It's just so much of me is required in so many different areas. And if this is my season to build and grind and grow, I'm okay with that. I accept that, right? But I don't do it alone, right? So in the business part, I won't talk about that. I have a team, right? I have a team that helps me. And so I'm not, this is, by no means is this a one woman show, right? I have people who take care of acquisition. I have marketing, I have an assistant who takes care of my schedule. So all of that stuff, right? All of that helps. So I'm not alone, right? And then the work part, right? In order for me to be able to build the business, I've had to scale down at work, right? And so in this season of building, right? Because I'm really truly still in like infancy, right? In the business, it's a lot of my time, it's a lot of my effort, it's long hours, right? So like I told you, went to work this morning, I will work most likely till like 8 or 9, right? It's going to be a long day, but it is okay, right? It's for a season, and in this season I feel like I'm called to be excellent and to do the best that I can. So that takes up a lot of my time. So right now I don't have balance. I don't, right? I'm doing the best that I can. I'll sleep when I need to, right? I'll take a walk when I need to, right? I'm making sure that I'm taking care of me, which is the most important because I want to be healthy for my patients and I want to be healthy and live long for the business. So those things are important, right? But like, am I going on vacation, summer vacation? No, right? Am I going out with girlfriends every other night? No, but the thing, my family's important. The things that are important, right? I hold on to those and I use that as a core. And then, I pour my time and I have learned that support is important. And so like a support system has also been very, very crucial. So having people that are like, go do it, right? We'll take care of the other stuff, or you don't need to show up, right? Like that, or
Yeah.
there's no guilt, right? I'm
Yeah.
putting in the work right now for later. So I think that has been very helpful. But I don't I don't have balance, right? I just don't. And I don't want to I don't you could do it all if you want. You can have your cake and
Mhm.
eat it if you want, right?
Mhm.
But you're going to have to give up some things. And I think that that's okay. I think that that's okay, and some people are okay with just okay, right? There, and there's nothing wrong with that. But that's they're like, I'm fine. I don't need to, like I'm happy in the ER, right? I have my colleagues that are like, are you kidding me? Like I'm good, right? The rest of the time I want to exercise, I want to travel, I want to eat, I want to sleep, right? Like those that they're like,
Right.
no, I'm good, but I'm like,
Right.
I want more, right? And so I'm giving up some things because I want more. And so it just depends on what you want.
You know what? That's a very real, honest answer because so many women say, well, yes, you can have it all. And I've never agreed with that. I think something suffers, like you say. It
Yes.
has to,
Yeah.
right? Because you can't give 100% to everything.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it does. Um, you did mention how you found a support team. Was that hard to
Yes.
find that? Yeah.
Human capital is the hardest thing that I have come to realize. To find good team members, it is so difficult. So on that same panel I was in, right? I was the only woman who had a team. All the other women were like, I'm doing it by myself. I'm building a solopreneur business. Like it's just hard, right? To find good quality people because like this is my baby, right? And so nobody's going to want this like I do, right? So people will just come and they're like clock in, clock out and do that, right? And so like my blood, sweat and tears is in this, right? The investors, they rely on me, right? And so I have had to, and I didn't have to do any of that, right? Before I worked for a hospital system and that was it. Like I was one of those clock in, clock out people. And then now starting to build this, right? That has been truly human capital has been one of the hardest things that I've had to learn how to lead, how to empower people in where they are, how to help them grow, how to help them see your vision, where you want to go, where you think you're capable of going as a company, as an organization, right? Having them buy into that. I think is very hard. And so you have to find neat ways, you have to find cool ways to bring them into like make sure they have buy-in into what you're doing because you want them to feel like they're winning as much as I'm winning, right? You want them to, and that is in part how to keep good people. But I have had, oh man, I think that's probably what I'm not, I'm sure that's probably one of the hardest things that I've had to do is build a team. And I'm still building, but I'm learning, right? I've learned from my past mistakes and I'm using that to build a stronger team moving forward.
All right, so I cannot believe this, but let's take a quick break. We'll be back with Dr. Nkem Ezeamama. I hope I said that right. After the commercial break, you're listening to Secrets of Powerful Women. Come back and listen to this because we're gonna peel back her whole second career, which is incredible, as she mentioned, and what she's doing and how she's helping women. So help me get the word out. Share this with your friends because this is really good. We'll be back. Hey, everybody, if you're enjoying this conversation, please take a second to follow and subscribe to the Secrets of Powerful Women podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. Because every share, comment, and review helps us beat the algorithm and reach more women like you with powerful stories, real conversations, and inspiration to step into their next chapter at any age. And if this episode spoke to you, share it with a friend who needs to hear it. Join us at our next event. All right, welcome back to Secrets of Powerful Women. Nkem is with me. Now, Nkem, as we mentioned, you're an ER doctor in Nashville, Tennessee, one of the biggest hospitals down there. And then you decided, hey, I'm going to start another business. And I want to go there because it has grown into a huge business, as you were mentioning before. So why at that point of your life did you say, I want to try something else?
Okay, so I want to tell you that I got this big epiphany and I did all of these things, but it's
Yeah.
not true. I was at work and one of my closest friends got laid off, another doctor. And we had just got bought over by a new company and things were changing and it just became more of the business of medicine as
Mm.
opposed to what was important, which was patient care. And after I realized, right, if they could let her go, they could also let me go. And I realized that I could not rely on this person for everything, right? My soul, like my income, my well being, right? I was relying on this company, and in a split second, they could let me go. And so I wanted to change that. And I said, I wanted to start investing, right? I was already diversified and I was doing pretty well, but I thought to myself, "Oh, I don't have real estate, right? A lot of people say like the Carnegies and the wealthiest, right? They have their wealth steeped in land. You always hear people say buy dirt,
Mm-hmm.
like land is not going anywhere, housing is
Right.
not going anywhere. It's a basic human need, right? People need a place to stay. And so I just started looking into buying, into investing in real estate. And I met a group and I vetted them. I asked questions and I invested with them, right? And it was a big deal for me at that time. Like I invested $50,000 and I was like, oh my goodness, right? And I did it and I saw the returns and I was like, man, the money that's sitting in my bank account, in my savings
Mm,
account, high yield savings, like this investment is like outpacing it.
mm,
And I thought, why did I have to go seek out this information? That was my thought at that point.
right.
And I was like, why aren't they telling us this, right? We learn like in medicine, like you're an expert in medicine, but we don't know anything about anything else, right? We just
Mm,
expect to have others tell us what to do with our money. And I wasn't okay with that. And so I started investing. I did the first deal, it went well. I did the second one. I noticed that there weren't a lot of physicians in the room, right? It was just the people who were making money, private equity groups,
mhm,
and all these just people that didn't look like me, and they were just at the helm. And I
mm,
thought we should change this. That's how it started. And I went on LinkedIn and I said I'm going to educate people, and I'm going to tell them what real estate could look like, what investing in real estate could look like. I didn't know that this pain point of relying solely on one organization for your bread and butter, I didn't realize that it was other people's struggle as well. And other people were looking for ways to diversify and to build wealth. And so when I started speaking, right, people were like, okay, tell me more. Like this
right.
deal that you keep talking about, right? Where is it? Like, I want to be a part of it. And I say like joke, right? Like just like something funny,
Mm,
right? I was like, okay, I have a deal. Who wants to invest with me? And I remember my first deal. I had never raised a penny and I brought together about $700,000 and we went to go buy something. And it was just like that. It was just people were looking for the right person to trust, the right thing to stand behind.
right.
And I was very honest. I was very transparent. And so when that started, right, and I was like, okay, I have to build something around this.
Mm,
And then I shared. I learned that people want to see themselves in your story. And so I told my story. I told how I went from an ER doctor to, thinking about entrepreneurship. And I explained the mindset shifts. I explained how I had to see myself as no longer just Dr. Nkem, right? That identity had to change. I had to see myself as a woman who can be an entrepreneur and who can be an investor, and who can build a business, right? And so those shifts, as they happen, I just shared them with anyone who's willing to listen. And I slowly started building a community. And it was from there that I realized I had something. And that's really how Phoenix Capital was born. And the sole premise behind it is we as healthcare professionals, let's come together, let's pull our resources together and let's buy large apartments, those apartments that when you're driving down you look over there and you're like, oh man, who owns that? And I'm proud to say like we own that, right? And so it's not just me, it's me and hundreds of my investors. But that's what that looks like now, right? Before you'll see some name on the wall and they're like, it just sounded so esoteric, and some development company and somebody in some C-suite or something. And
right.
now it's people that look like us are going out and are buying these apartment complexes. And I think for me, right, that has been the biggest win, is knowing that like we are capable of doing something that amazing, something that grand. And it just started with sharing my story and realizing that like I can't, like I have to think outside of my 9 to 5, right? If I want to build, if I want to think about wealth creation and legacy, right? I could not just rely on that person because tomorrow that person could let me go. And I think a lot of people felt that and so started deciding, what does ownership look like? And I think that's the path to success.
Right. Well, talk about that because I feel like you mentioned something about in one of your reels that you said something along the lines of like you put something like you mentioned out on LinkedIn and then like strangers responded, right? Which had to blow your mind. So you just said, I have a deal who wants to invest. And
Like
then,
I kid you not. I cannot make this up, right? So they had been following me, right? You
Mhm,
see, and I LinkedIn is one of the most amazing platforms. Before I built this business, I was on no social media platforms. I was just a quiet woman, just going to
Right.
work and coming home from work.
Right.
And my life is now looked different. But I went on LinkedIn and I said, I'm going to share my story. And I committed to posting Monday to Monday to Friday
Mhm.
for a whole year, 300, whatever, 300 and something days, Monday to Friday. I posted every single day and I shared my journey. What I didn't know was that I was building traction and I was building credibility. And so they saw, so like if I went to tour property, right, I would be like, listen, this broker doesn't even know that right now I don't have much, but I'm going to tour the property. Like I'm going to buy this one day. And I shared that with them, right? And I showed them, this is what a tour looks like. This is what I'm looking for, right? This is what it looks like. Like if I had conversations with a property management team, I would share that. Whatever it is, right? I said, I want you to see the process of going from zero to something. And so I shared that. And so when a deal came, right, even before the deal came, I would just post stuff and I would get people that would send me a message and say, hey, you don't know me, but I'm following you. And if something pops up, I'm in, right? And it was just like that, right? I got a message I'll never forget. I got a message, multiple, but I got a message from this doctor. And he was like, hey, I saw you. I've talked to my wife. I think we're ready. And they invested $100,000. And it blew my mind. And I was like, OMG, right? And that just kept happening.
Yeah.
But I realized people truly are looking for who to trust and they're
Mm.
looking for who they can build with, right? A lot of healthcare professionals have residual income and they're just thinking, how can I grow it outside of all the norms that I already do? And
Mm.
so I started building a platform on like education, thinking I bring in tax strategists, accountants, like wealth managers, just to help kind of think about what does money look like on
Mm.
a large scale, right? And not just
Mm.
focus on real estate, but be diversified. And so that truly is how it started. But it started on LinkedIn and it started with sharing my stories. And then it grew from there. So then I started, meeting people where they are. I started doing educational webinars. I
Mm.
started kind of diversifying how to reach our target audience and build
Mm.
it from there.
Well, you talk about the importance of LinkedIn, and I don't even today, I don't think people realize
No, they don't.
how critical LinkedIn is to build a business.
Everybody is on LinkedIn. Over a
Yeah.
billion people are.
Yeah.
Everyone is on LinkedIn. Like your ideal, whatever it is. If you want to speak, get on LinkedIn, right? If you want consulting jobs for your business, get on LinkedIn. If you just want to be a thought leader, get on LinkedIn. If you want
Mm.
investors, get on. If you have a coaching program and you're like, I want people, you will find them, right?
Mm.
Now, it's not easy and you have to do the work, but again, nothing good comes easy. And so
Right.
whatever it is that you
Right.
want to do, you have to put in the work. But it is such a wonderful platform. And the more you give, the more you get.
Yeah. Did you when you first started investing, was it in homes? I'm in real estate, by the way. I'm
Yes,
curious.
I
Uh,
started in apartments. I started in
mm.
apartments. So I didn't do single family. When I first started, I did large apartments, so multifamily. I think my first investment was in a 113 unit apartment. And so I started, and so that's what I then did because I was very comfortable. I learned that I understood it. And so that's what I did.
Do you ever, all right, because I love this, right? Did you ever get to the point where you said to yourself and you had doubts and said, what am I doing? What am I
All the
doing?
time, all the time, all
Okay.
the time. Like I'd be sitting in my office right now. I'd be sitting in my office and I'm like, you should just go back to work, right? Like you should. I had that all the time. Like
Right.
I just, because
Mm.
sometimes you take 10 steps forward and
Yeah.
sometimes it'll be a few steps back, and you're just
Right.
like, why am I doing this? Like nobody
Mm.
sent me to this. I was comfortable before, right?
Right.
And I thought medical school was hard. Building the business was even harder because I didn't have a blueprint.
Mm.
I didn't have, like, I went to medical school. I knew the classes I took every day. I had preceptors who taught me. I had attendings who taught me. I had teachers and professors who taught me, right? So everything was almost scripted and I had a playbook. And
Mm.
this one I didn't, right? So it was about building relationships. It was about not being afraid. It was about trying and knowing that I might fail. And so like there are days, man, there are days I've cried my eyes out like in the last like 5 years. And it's just like, because some days I'm like, throw me a bone. Somebody throw me a bone. But you just keep going, right? You wipe your tears and you say, okay, I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna try. I'm going to take that one step. If I don't have that, if I don't know, right, I'll do the best I can. I'll send another email. I'll do another webinar. Like in the beginning, I used to have webinars and I would like literally talk to myself, but I would record the whole thing because nobody showed up. But I kept going, right? I kept going, and then I got 50, and then some I get 100. And then now the people want to hear about it, right? I got a text message this morning, and I'm actually going to read it to you so that you believe me. I got a message this morning, and it said, "Hello, need to chat with you about real estate investment," and that's from a doctor. Those were just words, and I said, "Hey, do you have some time this evening or tomorrow?" And she goes, "This evening works," and it's that simple, right? It didn't start that way, right? And so there were days where I'm like, "What are you doing?" And as I start thinking bigger, right, I start thinking about scaling. I still have those days today because now I have a different set of problems, right? Before I had the problem of like, how do I start? How do I
Right.
build an LLC? Like
Yeah.
what does legal look like? How do I get my first deal? And now
Right.
it looks like, how do I scale, right?
Mm.
How do I now raise, what I used to raise 3 million? What does it look like if I did 6, right? What does that look like now? So the problems or the challenges, I would say, are different, but they're still there.
Wow. What's the best advice that you have ever gotten? Best
I
and worst. We'll do
Okay.
best and worst.
Oh gosh. So the best advice that I've ever gotten is to invest in relationships.
Mm.
Uh, there's such importance in, I told you human capital is hard, but social capital is a
Mm.
beautiful thing to have. And so, um, like you just never know. You can't do this thing by yourself. This one big, beautiful life that I keep talking about, right? You can't live in silo. You can't build by yourself. Look at all the people that have built, right? There was partnership involved. Like if you ask Jeff Bezos how much of Amazon he owns, you'd be surprised to find out, right? But in order to get it to the behemoth that it is, right, you need people. And so that's the one thing I'm learning. I'm learning to value relationships. I'm learning to pour into them, right? Because you never know where it's going to take you, and you never know if you just need someone to pick up the phone and say, "Hey, I support her. I'm in
Mm.
favor of what she's doing. Give it to her.
Mm.
Throw it her way," right? You just never know. And you're not doing it for that reason, right? But again, right? I remember reading the book The Go Giver, right?
Mm.
And it's just really about
I'm writing that down. The Go
people.
Giver.
It's
Okay.
it's such a it's a very small, it's an easy
Mm-hmm.
read, but
Mm-hmm.
it's sometimes it's the tiny principles and the concepts that
Yeah.
you just need to, it's basic stuff, right? It's not, but you should read it. And it's give people what they want, and in return you get what you want. And so,
Yeah.
and that's what I've learned.
Mm.
And I think, and I'm again, I was that girl that like, I just worked. I worked and I lived, and I love running, and I go for a run after work, and that was, my life. And so now thinking about saying more yeses than nos, right? Hey, do you want to do this? Yes. What does partnership look like? Let's talk about it, right?
Mm.
And I think that
What
uh,
does partnership look like to
oh,
you?
it's very different. Like I would rather have a tiny piece of a large pie than try to eat a small pie by myself. Like I don't need that, right? And so now you think you just, there's beauty, and trust me,
Mm.
it's gone wrong a lot of times, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we're humans, right? We make mistakes, we fall
Yeah.
short. But you won't find, again, 3 feet from gold, right? You won't find the diamond in the rough if you don't go looking for it, right?
Mm.
And so you won't find that thing or the gem. So I would say, to me, I think that has been one of the best advice. So so I'm not quick to like rule people out. Like I'm always like, okay, yeah, let's have a conversation. You want to meet for coffee? Sure. Right. Because you just never know,
It's true.
where the conversation will take you, what stroke of luck or what creative genius you just don't know. And so to be able to pour that, to be able to be someone's stroke of luck, or to be able to do
Mm.
that for someone else, it's also really beautiful.
Yeah. Um, Nkem, what's the toughest lesson that you've learned in all of this so far?
Um,
Because there's been a lot, as you said.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say that trying to build something, um, trying to build something beyond your wildest dreams
Mm.
is harder than you will think, and it requires a lot of patience. I have learned, like, the kind of biggest lessons I've learned is to be grateful in the season that I'm in. And it's not always easy when I want more, right? When I know I'm capable of more. And I'm like, sometimes I just sit and I'm like, why am I not doing the thing that I'm supposed to be doing right now, right? But I've learned to look back and see the things that I am, the accomplishments that I've had, and be grateful for that. And from a place of gratitude, move
Mm.
forward and lean
Right.
in, right? And that is not easy. It sounds so pretty and fluffy, but the real life of that is very difficult,
Mm.
because you put in the work and sometimes you want to see result and you don't get it, right? You keep doing, you
Right.
keep doing, and you keep going, and you're like, when, what does the lucky break look like, right? Or when is somebody going to say yes to me, right? When will they award me that next deal that I'm looking for? I've been talking to brokers, I've been underwriting deals, I've been doing all of this. Like, when is our next deal? Like, investors are calling me, they're like, we haven't heard from you in like
Mm.
5 months, where's the next deal? And I'm like, we're looking, right? And so you
Wow.
keep going, you keep going, and you keep going. And so I've learned the importance of being patient, and I've learned the importance of being grateful. And
Yeah.
I think those two things, and it's not every day, right? It's not, but some days when I don't know what else to do and I'm like just stuck, those days I can't be upset at myself for being stuck. I now have to go back to reflect on where I've been, where I'm heading, and realize that the challenges of yesterday I overcame, and so I will overcome these as well. I just have to keep going, and I just have to
Mm.
be grateful. And so I
Mm.
think that for me, that has been like the most challenging lesson that I've learned. And I really do think that if I continue with that mindset, right, then like the whole world's at my fingertip.
Yeah. Um, how has your definition of success changed over the years? Because you're very successful in both avenues, in both paths. So, what does
I,
it mean to you? You know,
I Every time that I get asked this question, I think my answer changes, and I think that's okay because that means that I don't have
you're evolving every day.
exactly.
Yeah.
But I think for me, right, success is waking up every day and getting the opportunity to do the thing I love and moving the needle in that direction,
Yeah.
right? And it's, yes, I want $1 billion in assets under management. Yes, I want 10,000 healthcare professionals to join along this platform and this big dream, right? But that text message I got today from a random doctor
Mm.
who who I've known for years, but I haven't spoken to in the last 5 years. That random text message that says, "Hey, I'm ready to invest. Tell me about real estate investing. What do I need to do?" Right? That is success. And it didn't always look like that because I'm always thinking about like the grand and the final. But now
Right.
I'm learning that success is in the journey, and it's in the growth, and it's in the building,
Mm.
and it's doing the thing that truly is moving the needle every day. And to be able to see that, I think it's success. So yes, I'm grateful. I'm
Mm.
so grateful for the successes that I've had because I've had a lot of them.
Mm.
And so I'm so excited for where I'm going. And I don't need to know anymore. I don't
Mhm.
need to know all the pieces of the puzzle. I just need to wake up every day and move in that direction.
It's so interesting because of so many of the entrepreneurs I speak to, and they kind of all say the same thing. It's that, there is no finish line.
Mm-mm.
You keep moving forward, and you don't know where you're going essentially, but it keeps moving forward, and it is the journey, and it's just beautiful, and it keeps getting better and better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. Let me ask you this though. I know we mentioned it before, but for the building of the business and dealing with all I'm like you said, you find a property and then you've built all this with all these, I guess, investors in it, in your where you find the investment for potential investors, I guess, right? So but That's the hardest part for me. I think, like, how do you trust all these people that you don't really know? That's so
So
hard, isn't
it is
it?
very hard. So
Yeah.
it took me a while. I vetted, right? So this is how I did it, right? I gambled on myself and I gambled with my own money first. And so I tested it.
Mm,
If it worked, right, then
mm,
I brought investors in. That's how I did it. So
yeah.
and then I leveraged, again, I told you this is not, I didn't do this by myself. So I
Yeah.
leveraged other partners, right?
Yeah.
So we bought a $49.1 million deal last year. I didn't do that by myself, right? It was me and three additional partners, and we brought all
Hmm.
our investors together.
Mm,
So I leveraged the relationships of those partners, right? So
mm,
do you have someone you trust in the legal space? Do you have a property management team that you absolutely adore? Do you have, who do you use for your taxes that are like long, like that kind
yeah.
of thing? And so building it is, again, through
Yeah.
relationships.
Yeah.
And so that has been where, and some of them haven't worked, and that's okay. But again, right, it's evolving, it's changing, it's growing, it's getting
Mm,
better every single time. And so, but I
yeah.
would say that's how I started it, right? I didn't bring investors into anything that I had not vetted, I hadn't trusted, I hadn't, experimented with it, right? And so that's how I started. Like even the broker relations that I formed, right? I'd reach out to someone else and I'd be like, hey, I'm looking in this area, right? Do you know any brokers that you trust that you could introduce me to? And then from there, I would do the work. I would show up.
Mm,
I'd show up to the property tours. I'd show up for coffee. If they had questions, I would respond to their questions. But all of those things I was doing.
yeah. Yeah. Um, Nkem, if you could go back in time and tell yourself, give your 20-year-old self advice, what advice would you give?
I would say invest in people.
Mm,
It's very important. Yes, I could tell her to keep going and that the road is hard, but the journey is going to be very sweet. I could tell her that.
mm,
But I think the thing that I want to tell her is to pour into relationships,
mm,
because it'll take you far. Like you just never know. You don't know.
yeah.
You have no idea. And it's people. And so I would tell her, instead of spending a lot of time alone, say more yeses and go out and see the world and meet people. Because in some way, right, you could come back to connect with them in really
Mm.
beautiful ways.
It's so extraordinary, I think, because it's so true. The phone calls that I've had and the people who have contacted me are sometimes from so long ago, right? And I'm like, I didn't even know you were even paying attention to what I was doing, you
Yeah.
know? So
Yeah.
it is really cool when you think about it, the beauty of life. And you do talk about, and I'll let you go in a few minutes, but I love this conversation. You do talk about visibility, and that you said, I've heard you say billionaires don't they don't sell products, they sell presence. What do you mean by that?
So you can be the best kept secret, but you're still a secret and nobody knows about you.
Yeah.
And I think and a lot of us don't know how to do this, right?
Yeah.
There are people out there who are so visible, but you are so much better than them in that thing, but
Hmm.
nobody knows you. And your one, two, three contacts, right, are not going to make the difference that you need. And so you have to go out there. You have to put yourself out there. It is uncomfortable. It is painful, right? It's not easy, but you show up every day. It's in the consistency, it's in the doing, it's in the showing up, right? That matters. And so you have to be visible. And a lot of us, like healthcare professionals, a lot of physicians, were taught to be experts and we're taught to be perfect, but we're not taught to be visible. We don't need the shine and we don't need the light, right? We're altruistic and we're doing the thing for the patients. But I don't think it's one and done. And I
Hmm.
think that, right, if you have something that is that the world needs, if you have value, if you have something of value, right, that you want to share with the world, you have to put yourself out there. Like we are unfortunately, right, we are in this age that like everything is like online, right? And so you can't like we're sitting here talking and someone else is going to listen to this, right? You can't avoid that. You can't escape that. And so, but you have to be authentic in how you become visible. It has to be something that resonates with you and your core and who you are. And I think that's more important because again, people will see through. They'll see through the mischief and they'll see through the fake. They'll see all of that, right? Because I don't know, we're just smart like that.
Yeah.
But if you are authentic and if you're original and if you're yourself, right? And you don't have to be loud and you don't have that's not visibility. Visibility is letting the world know who you are, what you're about, what you stand for, right? And putting that out there. But it's very, very important. If you want to make a difference, right, you have to be visible.
Do you still help people? Do you still have webinars where you help people do that? Yeah.
Yes, I do. I do. I
Wow.
think it's very, very important. It's one of the things that like, so again, right? And I'm really loving this conversation. You can just be okay with being okay. And I'd say that not because it's offensive, right? Some people are just fine, right? Go to work in the morning, come home in the evening, just live a simple life on weekend, do one or two things and start it over again, right? That's what they want, and that's okay. But if you want more, right? If you're like, man, I really want like one big beautiful life. If you want that, right? Then then you have to do that. You have to be a little bit more visible. You have to put yourself out there. And so I think it's very important. And LinkedIn is like really how I did it. It's how I've loved doing it. And so I help people do it on LinkedIn and to just say, like, what does it mean to be visible? Because, right, through that, if it's a business, it'll grow. Through that, if it's a thought leadership, it'll grow. Through that, if it's like, if you want to become a renowned speaker, it'll grow, right? But if you use that strategically, right, that thing will grow and it'll flourish. And so it's not just like, it's not magic. It's doing the work and then seeing the result.
I mean, gosh, I would love to I would love to hear about what your typical day looks like. Like you said, I mean, how long do you sleep?
So okay, I'm well rested. I'm like today maybe not, but like I'll sleep well. So I'm like a big napper. In the middle of the day, I probably need like a 30-minute nap, and it's
Okay.
so rejuvenating, right? But I sleep well. I can't. I'm unpleasant in the morning if I don't sleep. So like I'm still getting a good 7 hours of sleep, right?
Okay.
But again, I have learned. I read the book by Dan Martell. It's this blue book right here where my finger is.
Oh,
It's
right.
called Buy Back Your Time.
Buy back your time.
And
Okay.
so I have learned if I don't need to do it, I'm not going to do it. Right. I mean, by like if someone else, my goal is to always be in my 20% genius, right? The thing that only me can do and do it well.
Right.
The rest of the 80%, I want to give it out. I want to delegate it. And so that has helped me. That has helped me like buy back my sleep. That has helped me buy back my time, right? Because I don't have to I don't need to check emails, right? I just need
Right.
someone to be like, hey, the podcast link is in this email at this time. Go check it out, right? I don't,
Right.
that to
Right.
me, I think and someone else enjoys being organized and enjoys reading that and building that, right?
Right.
And so that's just a simple example. But some days are busier than other days, and some days, right, I get to my office and I can't think much, right? I'm like, and those days I read. I try to pick up a book and I try to read so that I don't feel like my day is wasted, right? So, but there's some days where I'm just like, I got nothing today. And I'll figure out, like that could look like me taking a walk. That could look like me spending some time just listening to a book or listening to music and just resetting, right? But the days look very different. Like today's a long day, but tomorrow will be different. Tomorrow I have a bunch of team meetings and I have a bunch of like individual investor calls.
Right.
And then I'm prepping, I'm going out of town for a conference over the weekend and I'm speaking at that conference. So I'm going to prep for that. And so it just looks different.
Yeah. Let me ask you. All right. Now this will really be my last question. Well, almost. What if someone's listening and like you said, do what you think you're good at or what you know you're better than other people. How do you find that? How do you find your passion, or how do you find that? Did you have a hard
Okay.
time?
Um,
You're like, okay, we're gonna unpack this.
yeah. So, I would say that no, I don't think that. I don't. How do I figure out that thing? There's certain things that you cannot stand doing, but there's certain things that need to be done. Okay, I'll tell you this. Right? You make a list. I'm really big on lists.
Me
Right?
too.
I
Yeah.
make a list of all the things I want to do, and there's certain things that okay. There's certain things that you gravitate towards, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And sometimes those things you might gravitate towards them because they're the easy things, right? And you do it to knock it out. But then sometimes, right, you gravitate towards those things because those are the things that light you up.
Yeah.
Sometimes in that same list, you dread doing some things, right? And some of those things are truly the things that will move the needle, right? And so you have to be 1,000% honest with yourself, right? You cannot, you can lie to me, right? And you can lie to Jill, but you can't lie to yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like nobody else sees like your innermost thoughts and secrets and all these things. So look at that list, right? And say, what are the things that I need to, two things, what are the things that light me up? And what are the things that I need to do to move my business forward or to move that thing forward, right? And make that list.
Hmm.
And everything else, get rid of it, right? By get rid of it, I don't mean scratch it, right? I mean give it to someone else, right? Have, whether it's AI, like if you don't like
Mhm.
creating presentations, have AI create the presentations, right? If you're having a hard time writing, I really, when I first started writing on LinkedIn, it was so painful to me. Like I was like how do people sit and create these things? Like it just didn't make sense to me, right? And so very shortly I started using AI to help me, right? So I would be like, okay, these are my thoughts. These are the things, these are the experiences I had. These are the things that I want to talk about, right? Help me create ideas behind it, right? And so I knew that that was the thing, right? I didn't think, but I knew that LinkedIn was going to help me. And so that was the thing I dreaded, right? I could not
Right.
stand doing it, but I knew I had to do it. And that was part of my 20% at that time, was
Okay.
building my LinkedIn platform, because that's where we get maybe like 40 to 50% of our investors come from there. And so I knew I needed to do that to move it forward, even though I didn't love it.
Hmm.
So every time I would put my list of things to do, LinkedIn posts would be one of them. And it would just keep dragging. Like I would push it to the next day. And then finally, like Sunday, I'm like, okay, I have to batch create, right? And so I had to be honest with myself and say, what are the things? And those things are the things that you have to do. You have to
Yeah.
do the things that only you can do that will move whatever you're doing forward.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh wow. This is a fantastic conversation, and Kim, it really is. Like, we could go on and on, but all right, where do people get in contact with you or follow you? Can they follow you on
Yes,
LinkedIn?
LinkedIn is the
Okay.
place to go. Like if you just type in my name, Nkem Ezeamama, you'll find me on LinkedIn. Connect with me, send me a DM, ask me questions. I'd love to connect. Like if you're just not sure and you're like,
Mm.
how do I do this thing? Right? How do I
Yeah.
build? How do I
Yeah.
grow? I would love to kind of help. Even if it's just to give you some resources that I've created, right? To just kind of help you figure out, like, what does it mean to be visible? Like, what does that look like? I think
Right.
that that's helpful, right? Even before
Mm.
you start thinking, or just little ideas to help you grow. I think you have to start somewhere. And if that's where you start, then I think it's wonderful.
Mm. All right. And are you on Instagram and
Yes, I'm
Facebook
on
and all
all
this?
social media platforms. You'll find me everywhere. On Instagram, I have a team that helps me with Instagram because
Yeah.
it's not my strength. So you'll see a
It's
little bit more
yeah.
fun content. But yes, I'm on Instagram.
It's a monster. Instagram, I have a love-hate relationship with Instagram. So I understand that. So, all right, everyone follow her. It's N Kem, and
Yes.
it's Nzem is your first name,
No,
and
NKEM. Yes.
Nkem,
Yes.
Enzamama, and you're out of Nashville, but I feel like, and you have a webinar coming up, so everyone tune into
Yes.
that. I'm going to be tuning in as well. So I think you're fantastic, and I love this conversation.
I'm so happy. Thank you for having me. This was so great, right? Like we can't do it without each other. It goes
Yeah.
back to what it goes
Yeah.
back to relationships. So I'm excited that we got to do this, and I hope this was helpful. But even just being able to share the story, I hope it lights someone up to go do the thing that you're supposed to do.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. All right. All right. That's it for us. A big thank you. I mean, what a great conversation. Thanks for coming on the show. And you're fantastic for sharing your story. So I'm Jill Conway. And thank you, everybody, for listening to the show celebrating incredible women like Nkem. I hope you are inspired to pursue your own goals, believe in yourself, and dream bigger. Your voice matters, and your story can help others. So thanks so much. And we'll follow us on Instagram. Thanks,
Bye,
everybody.
everyone.
Bye.